Welcome to Trailblazers Spotlight, where we meet the leading innovators in Web3 and Metaverse marketing and explore their stories and insights. The star of this Trailblazers episode is Raakhee Miller, the CEO of Mojito, a leading NFT platform solution that enables companies to create new, valuable business verticals and has generated more than 100 million in sales. Mojito launched in 2021 with a 20 million raise and a $100 million valuation from strategic investors like Sotheby's Creative Artist Agency, NEA, and More Capital. Over the past 20 years, Raakhee has held multiple successful leadership positions at Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Macquarie, and DriveWealth. So happy you could join us here today, Raakhee. I'm honored.
Hi, Dan. So happy to be here.
All right, cool. Well, let's dive right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
As I researched you, I noted that you have a lot of experience in this space. And so I'm sure that your answer to this question will prove super valuable to many of the people listening. So what's one key lesson you've learned in your career in this field?
What I've learned is that you never are done learning. I think that is the biggest takeaway for me generally in my career, and I would say especially venturing into the Web3 space. If you've done some research on kind of my career trajectory, you'll see that it followed a very traditional path of finance and software and product. And I went into the rabbit hole, the Web3 rabbit hole, and happy to be here, obviously. But I think what was a realization to me as I was growing my career in finance and more of the innovation started coming in finance, it just went 100x. Coming into like blockchain and the Web3 space, because this ecosystem is seeded by everybody that just is coming into it with a completely fresh pair of eyes on how to solve problems that they have seen in their sort of legacy systems, and how this technology is so game changing. And so coming into this, I always knew that there'll be things I'll have to learn. And 2 years into Mojito, every day is school day, as one of my favorite managers used to say, and I'm loving it.
No, I'm with you 1,000%. In fact, as I was getting into really studying the marketing aspect of Web3 and the Metaverse, and it's like you dive in every day. Okay, where's the rabbit hole? I'm back at it again, right? And like a year later, I'm like, wow, I've learned a lot, but I still feel like I only know this much, right? And it's constantly changing. So that was actually one of the main reasons that I got started with Web3 and Metaverse marketing. It's like, okay, everybody who's jumping in, they're going to need help. I need help, right?
100%.
So I'm with you 100%. Like I'll be going to Mexico in 2 weeks, and I'm going to go off the grid for 2 weeks. But I'm kind of afraid because when I come back, I'm going to feel like I missed 3 months, right? It's going to be so crazy. So anyway, I'll deal with it when it comes. So my next question, and I'm sure you get this question all the time, but I'm somebody who loves mojito cocktails, right? So what's the inspiration of naming the company Mojito?
So it's a true story. There was a Slack thread around, what should we call it? So Mojito, just a little backstory. Mojito started as a company that incubated out of Serotonin, one of the preemptive, Web3 marketing companies out there. And Slack thread started with, what are we calling this? What are we calling this? And our previous one of the Serotonin CTOs came up with Mojito, the sweetest way to mint. So there you have it.
Ah, okay. The sweetest way to mint. Okay. I get it. I get it. I
Pretty
never
sweet, huh?
connected the minting aspect of Mojito before. So, okay. Totally makes sense. I get it. Good answer. Okay. Now, another question. Now, I'm 1000% sure you're not expecting this question. So, do you like roller coasters?
In entrepreneurship, not so much. In real life, a lot.
That's a good answer, actually. So, in real life, like when you're going to like Disney or something like that, I'm a huge roller coaster fan, right?
Absolutely. Love it.
But to me, NFTs have been the ultimate roller coaster experience over the past several years. But in my opinion, they have never wavered as an important ingredient in Web3 and Metaverse marketing. So the big question is, how do you see NFTs evolving over the next year?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Where is the puck going? I think I'd like to again go back to, when I started in the Web3 space, it was all about cryptocurrency and about this coin and that coin and this value proposition, that value proposition. And cryptocurrency and block as is a great use case for the store value, right, in various ecosystems, and exchanging that value and not having to uh, require a third party to validate, like the centralized organizations that we all know and love. um, I think the what NFT really brought to the forefront, and this is kind of my theory of why it was so fascinating to everybody, because this is the first time you can own data. You can own it. You can own something that is completely unique. It can represent you. It can represent art. It can represent a serial number. All these things, all this data
Hmm.
that again is owned by typically centralized bodies, can now be owned in a completely decentralized fashion. I think that's that use case and that power is still there, which is why we're still here, whether we're on the top of the roller coaster or kind of in the bottoms, making our way up. um Obviously, with anything, a lot of the times the fun and interesting and speculative things are the first to like get out of gate. So the speculative nature of art and purchasing art and memes and purchasing culture, or being involved in it from a cultural perspective, which was again the first time that this happened. And I'm going to leave Dogecoin out of it, but this is really the first time that people that were culture makers, that were not in it for the cryptocurrency part of it, the finance part of it, were dealing with something so cool and new and innovative, where they could own something and they could trade it, they could speculate on it in the sense of, is this something that's going to take off? Is this going to be the next cultural icon of some big movement? And it started to build community around it. And I think that was
Hmm.
really the magical moment for NFTs 2021. And then you had some amazing people come in, like Beeple and all kinds of really amazing artists that gave this medium, the life that it continues to have. Now, with
Yes.
all the things, there were some interesting bubbles going on in the marketplace, and I say this to our investors and other like clients a lot as well. Just how when SVB went down, which is banks, right? Um, the market was afraid, right? So, fiat currency is the backbone of our current economy, and cryptocurrency is the backbone of the blockchain economy. So when some of the unfortunate events happened in the last year, it was bound to affect this. Even though a lot of what we work on in the NFT space around consumer engagement, around ownership of data, is not really tied to the the cryptocurrency environment, but they are correlated. That is the infrastructure, and that's the life we all chose.
Yes, yes.
But to answer your question or where this is going, I think this is going where it was always going. It is a massive opportunity for so many sectors that deal with data to now start to build real transparency and ownership of that data, whether it's healthcare, whether it's better management of software. Of course, art will continue to grow, consumer engagement. So this is the first, kind of a really unique opportunity where consumers get to co-create brand equity and culture with brands, with enterprises. It's a completely new way of customer acquisition. And since we're on the topic of marketing, it's interesting, right? Like right now, what is your CAC for acquiring customers? You are competing for the same eyeballs, content on like more platforms every day. What's going to differentiate you? And so I think brands that are getting it right and are doing the right things, and where it's not a cash grab, where it truly is a moment of co-creation of different brands potentially even coming together and working together, where the consumers are being treated as not just consumers but community and essentially your fans are your co-creators. That mind shift, I think, will continue, and that's I think where this is going to go, at least in our space.
No, I agree with you, and I actually kind of feel to a degree that what's happened, let's say to the speculative aspect of NFTs is probably good. Um, um, it's to me, NFTs are part of the Web3 tech stack, right? And I would say 5 years from now, there'll probably be 1 trillion NFTs in circulation, one way or the other, right? As you said, they do so much, but I think what I'm saying from a marketing standpoint is and I think Reddit's is probably a good example where it's like digital collectibles or whatever. Like we like if you're on a Zoom call or whatever, you don't say, yeah, I'm on Zoom on the internet on HTTPS, right? It's like
Exactly.
so to me, yeah, from my perspective, NFTs will continue to be a huge part, but I'm going to say most of the time, there probably isn't going to be a lot of like PR releases. Oh, NFT, or whatever.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, you're 100% right. It's more about the outcomes that brands are going for and the additional level of engagement that they're creating versus the NFTs. It's so it's going to be more about those things and the goals as opposed to the tech underneath that. And I completely agree with you. In no other industry do you ever talk about, hey, let's meet on this HTTP protocol at this, and my computer's clock time is going to be this. You never think like that. Yeah, our industry is definitely very, very unique.
Yeah. Totally. And I think the other aspect that kind of makes it difficult, it's like whenever I'm talking, it's like I'm like Web3, Metaverse. I don't want to say crypto, right? I mean, I invest in crypto, but that's another. I don't really want to bring crypto into the Web3 conversation. So, but it's NFTs are still part of that, right? And the fact that it had, so NFT as a tech, it just got so popular, right? But it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It got really popular for a reason, and it's because it's like great tech. So at the end of the day, really kind of looking forward to seeing how it continues to evolve into the next year or so. So thanks for answering my roller coaster question. Much appreciated. So there is so much happening in the Web3 space right now. So this may not be an easy question, but what is one innovative project, again, in the Web3 space that really excites you right now?
I'm gonna take one of the projects that we're working on. It's not live yet, but I can talk a little bit about it. But I think a really great use case for NFTs is digital representations of physical items. And I think nowhere is that
So
more.
are we gonna use the word phygital or no?
I was gonna see if you would say it first, and then I would. I People either love it or they hate it. Okay, let's be honest here. Everybody hates that word, but it's the
As soon as somebody, I think most of the people in the industry anyway, as soon as you say it, you know what they're talking about, right? So,
exactly. And but it's like such an important use case, right? Because you think about a lot of physical goods, and now I'm not talking about not cryptocurrency, not houses and things like that. Tying back to culture, culturally we have luxury goods, bags, things we treasure that are physical goods, and increasingly with additional like regulatory pressures in, for example, like Europe has this passport program now where everything has to have their entire logistics down to where it was made, who made it, and whether it's ESG, et cetera, et cetera. So I think all of these things are going to continue to play out, and the ability to tie something, like absolutely tie it without any doubt, a physical to a digital, is going to be important, and more and more people are going to interact with the digital in order to move the physical or represent ownership of the physical, exchange it, trade it, maybe rent it. So that's a very interesting industry where it's this is solving a real problem. So if you think about a luxury brand that's trying to make its next handbag, car, you name it, right? And now they have the opportunity to create a pre-order market in order to assess demand, what customers want. They can use that as an amazing engagement opportunity to engage with their consumers on how to design it, create a DAO on figuring out when should we release this, should we do this color, should we do that color. So again, you're creating that environment in this pre-order market. You're then assigning digital ownership to the physical good, and then the physical good gets sent to you, or mailed to you, or rented out or built to your spec. So I think that's
yeah,
a really interesting use case that we're doing some work on at Mojito. We think will be super interesting. I totally see a world where every physical thing you have will have, an NFC chip in it, and it'll create a token so that you own it, and then the resale value of that, it'll fight piracy, and so there's a lot there. I think that could be a really huge market, and it continues to. And then the possibilities at that point are endless. I can take my shoe, my Louboutin shoe, into Roblox or some metaverse, because I do own it, and now I can take the digital version of it with me to the digital worlds. I mean, it's so interesting. I think they ran a poll for kids. We were talking prior to starting the interview about Roblox, for example, right? It is so popular with the generation of kids now. There's a poll that went
Gen Z,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, a poll went out on would you rather own something digitally or physically? And more of Gen Z is relating to, I'd rather own it digitally, because the
Yep.
reach of
I saw that poll as well. Yeah, very interesting.
fascinating. And so this is where it's all headed. And how can you own something digitally if you can't own it? That's NFTs. How would you know
No, no,
if
no.
it's yours and it's unique?
No, 100%. And that's why I was saying it's like, 5 years from now, there'll be like a trillion NFTs. And then again, some are going to have a lot of value, and others are going to be like, maybe H&M. Every time they sell something, they have an NFT that guarantees like, where it was made or whatever, something like that. Right. So I totally see that. And then maybe if it was like you know, a really valuable H&M collection, maybe those NFTs become valuable someday. Who knows, right? It's you never know. So, um, I was on your website, and because I hadn't been on it in a while, so I was on it recently, and really impressed with your various like Web3 service offerings. But if you had to explain in your own words, what is the one thing that makes Mojito unique in the Web3 marketing space?
So I think if I have to just say one sentence, this is going to be, or one thing, we're the go-to-market partner for large enterprise and brands. So what that means is most of the brands and enterprises we're working with, uh, we take care of everything from concept to validating concepts, where we will go back and forth with our clients on what's working, what's not working, so that things that are out there are not tone deaf. They're relating to what the environment is now. So everything from concept to design to build out to then obviously our infrastructure. We also facilitate their go to marketing and their go to market and their marketing strategy. So I'd say we're kind of like a all-in-one partner that a customer can use. Now, this doesn't mean we don't work with partners. We, depending on the projects, we also work with other tech partners and other agency partners, but we typically end up help chaperoning the customers all the way to their end goal, which is onboarding more and more their Web2 consumers into Web3. We do work with Web3 native Web3 projects. We love native Web3 projects. But I think in the last year and a half, it's been clear to us that the shift has to happen with the existing brands that have the audience, that have the fandom, that have the communities, and they're going to be the ones that blow up this ecosystem. And so we've really focused in on helping them. I know sometimes it's not just about the concept and the tech and the execution. It's about understanding the regulatory frameworks. It's about understanding what are the security concerns and other types of data privacy concerns and other concerns that large enterprises have. And a lot of times it's about dealing with the legacy systems that they have, and how can we bridge the gap and work with their various teams. So enterprise software go live is its own beast, and I think what we've done really well over the last 2 years is really understand where our clients are coming from and be thoughtful and good advisors to them, and help them execute the projects to their desired results.
No, totally get that. If a company is doing Web3 correctly, it almost requires them to totally almost like restructure their company and how they're doing business, right? And if they're not doing that, then they're probably Web3. It's hard to just do an add-on, right? Oh, we're just going to clunk that there. It really requires you to kind of rethink how you're doing business. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
absolutely.
get that.
And most of the successful things have to be integrated, because otherwise, if it is like a side experiment or this, and again, we encourage, and lots of companies start out that way. They'll start out with a small
You got
experiment.
to dip your toe in the water and get an
Exactly.
idea of what it is. Yeah, yep,
Exactly.
yep.
But
So
there has to be a level of commitment, and that commitment is married with an integration to their existing teams, so their existing CMO and their existing technology teams and go to market teams, etc. That's when it becomes successful, as it gets ingrained into their DNA, and then those are the successful projects.
yep. So are there any particular verticals that you're finding that are kind of like your sweet spot?
As you know, like we started our life with Sotheby's as like one of our key investors and clients. So we're obviously forever grateful to them, and all the work that they do, and hence like just very focused in the art space. So
Okay.
that'll continue to be a focus for us. We also work with Pace Gallery. And I think that'll continue to be our focus. We just did a launch for another museum. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name yet, so I didn't check with legal. But that's a space for us, and we're experts there, and we love museums and galleries. Call us. We want to work with you. Luxury items are another area for us. So high-end luxury brands that want to build additional brand equity and start to bring in their VIPs or even their most ardent fans, that's another vertical for us. And then sports is extremely it's like an inbuilt community. You have the fan base, you have the community. They want more, they're clamoring for more. So that's, I think, like another vertical for us. And I think the entertainment space is interesting. We have a recent collaboration going on, which I will be able to talk about more in a month or so, in the entertainment space, which is really being disrupted by user generated content, by AI. And so there's a lot of thinking going around on how to reinvigorate our fan base that we've had for the last 50, 100 years. And
Yeah.
now they want more. And what can we do?
Well, sounds like you have a lot of exciting projects on your plate as you go into 2024. So, thank you so much for sharing your insights. And based on a couple of things that you're talking about, we might have to jump on another call sometime soon when you can actually talk about some of these like new things that you're working on. So, but if a brand is listening in and they want to contact you to discuss possible collaboration with Mojito, how can they reach you?
I'm at Raakhee at getmojito.com.
Okay.
We'll have to spell Raakhee out.
I was going to just say that, yes.
It's RAAKHEE at getmojito.com.
Yes.
Or you
Okay.
or you can reach our biz dev person. She's Claire at getmojito.com, which is probably easier to spell.
Very, very good. Very good. So, again, thanks for joining us, and the best of luck to you and Mojito in 2024 and beyond. Take care.
Thank you, Dan. I look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye.